And here we go.
Hello, I'm Sue, and this is Fireside Chat. I'd like to welcome with all my heart my very honored guest, Mark Berry. This is Nathan Gallagher, who works at the station as well. And we'd
Yes.
like to warmly welcome you, Mark. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So, a little bit about Mark. Mark was born in Brooklyn, New York City. Cool guy that he is. And
Actually, I was born in Massachusetts and raised in New
Massachusetts.
York.
Oh, very cool.
Massachusetts, but raised in New York. So
Okay, that's amazing. What a great place to be, though, right?
I love it. I love it.
Mark began his music career at the Institute of Audio Research, which is the IAR, in New York City in the summer of 1970 at the young age of 16. Mark was commuting into Manhattan at night, learning the inside ropes of making records and recording up-and-coming basement bands. After graduating from IAR and high school in the same year, 1972, Mark was drawn to the Brit sound and was off to London, England, where he soon arrived on the doorstep of AIR Studios, one of the world's most renowned recording facilities owned by Sir George Martin. Mark gained expertise in engineering and mixing records, but also invaluable experience in classic rock production and orchestral techniques, working as an assistant under Sir George Martin. Sir George was responsible for producing arguably the most influential band in the history of rock and roll, the Beatles. Mark's
That's a
experience,
fact, yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Mark's experience led to his first major engineering assignment, Carly Simon's No Secrets album, unbelievable, which included the international smash You're So Vain. Hanging out with Mick Jagger for the background vocals on You're So Vain, and then going over to Olympic Studios for the mixing of the most amazing session was Live and Let Die, performed by Sir Paul McCartney and Wings. They had a 63-piece orchestra there. In fact, Live and Let Die is one of the very few songs from the Bond films to be nominated for a Best Song Oscar. That is true. He has also spoken as a panelist, a moderator, a judge. He's spoken at university, many of the world's most prestigious and distinguished music conferences. Mark will bring his pedigree to bear on judging this year's crop of global short films and many festivals, namely Cannes, France, is one he's been done in the past as well. Mark is presently at the helm of AMG. AMG is a fully independent media company with an international mandate for promoting, marketing new and emerging artists with film and TV content internationally. Mark is one of only a handful of producers who can truly take a project from concept to completion and expertly handle all of the steps along the way. Mark is present. Okay, so I have I think I just took part of it because there's just so much. I've just never met anyone like you, Mark.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the lower third up so that there's the
can see.
website for the whole bio there.
Perfect.
And
Thank
all
you so
the
much.
Info on that and the AMG Corp also.
So, Mark, wow. You can if you want to tell us a little story or whatever. We're so happy to hear, and whatever you'd like to.
Where do you want me to start? Where do you want me to
gosh.
start?
Honestly, I would love to hear just about your journey in like the entertainment industry. I know we got a little taste of it there, but about how because you had sounds like you had really humble beginnings, and how you started
Sure.
making those connections and working your way up. That's super interesting to me.
Well, I think for me it was going to the Institute of Audio Research, which kind of got me, technically into the whole process of recording music and sound. And 'cause as a kid, I used to ask my dad, when stereo had first come out, hey Dad, how come the vocals are coming out of the left speaker and the drums are coming out of the right speaker? My dad was like, I don't know, go find out, So I did. Went to go find out, and then we had this terrible thing called the Vietnam War, which I was of prime age. So I said, I should really think ahead here about what I want to do. Otherwise, I'm going to wind up dodging bullets in some foreign country. So
Yeah.
Right.
that's what I did. I went to the institute when I was 16 and got my little certificate, and then my parents said, okay, now what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to go to England because, I wrote down all these names from the studios on my favorite records, right? The Rolling Stones, Elton John, Paul McCartney, all my favorite records. And where did they record these records? Great. Okay. And that's what I did. I got on an airplane day after I graduated from high school, and I went to
Wow.
London, England.
Oh my
Yeah.
Yeah,
God. That's
That's
incredible.
yeah.
awesome.
Did you ever go to Pinewood Studios where I think the Bee Gees were?
I did not go to Pinewood. I did not go, but I was very well aware of Pinewood
Yeah.
because all the um, all the James Bond movies were done there. And one day, I got a little story for you. So every night after the studio sessions in at Air Studios, myself, John Punter, Alan Harris, the other engineers, we would go to this diner that was in Hyde Park, and we'd go there, and then we would every night when we went there after the session, so this is like 2 in the morning, we'd see this Rolls Royce there. And this Rolls Royce that was there had the license plate Cubby, Cubby. And that was for Cubby Broccoli, who was the producer of all the James Bond movies.
Ah.
We used to see him in this diner, having coffee with, hanging out with us at
Yeah.
3 in the morning, So
That's awesome. Yeah.
Isn't
that's
that how things
and that's the
happen?
same. That's the same Rolls Royce that, not the same, but the owner of that, Cubby Broccoli, his Rolls Royce was driven into the pool at the Hilton, which the diner was right next to the Hilton by Keith Moon, the crazy drummer for the Who. So
Whoa.
this car that I saw at one time, it was Cubby's Rolls Royce was driven into the pool. A very
On
famous
Wow, that's a
story.
great
by Keith
story. Yeah.
Moon. That's absolutely
Yeah,
so
Yeah,
totally.
Keith
who was
Moon,
like
isn't it?
out of his mind to begin with, right? So
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Rolling Stones.
Yeah,
Like
that's
just
yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
amazing.
just the Rolling Stones. Like that must have been unbelievable because it was such a powerful time in British music.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So like
No, it
yeah,
was great. It was oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna I wanted to ask like when you landed in London and how did your journey kind of like unfold there in terms of like working up the ladder? Did you have any connections before you went out there?
I had nothing.
Yeah.
I really had nothing at all. So I had names of studios. You remember, this is 1972. This is like pre-internet, So
Yeah.
I literally, you heard the term pound the pavement. That's what I had to do.
That's
I
what you
went,
did.
I found a old lady, Mrs. Lyons, and I rented a room from her, for like, I think it was like £30 a month, to rent the rooms. Uh, and I just kind of used that as my base. And then, I literally just wrote down everything, and I had to
Yeah.
walk to this studio, walk to that studio,
Right.
and to find out where I had my map on me, and then I would just go from studio to studio. And some studios wouldn't, let me get past the front door. They had guards there,
That's true.
and the way I got into Air was I had gone there to see the studio manager, and they said, okay, the studio manager's not here. All right, okay, they'll come back tomorrow. Okay, so I come back the next day, and not only the receptionist isn't there, so I walk in. Okay, so what's going on? And there's no one around, and so I start walking down the main corridor of the studio, and this engineer named Nigel Walker, an assistant engineer, comes walking out and just basically says, "Hey, can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, yeah. I'm looking for Joyce Moore, the studio manager." And she goes, "Oh, she's not here right now." Hey, where's your accent from? Yes, says, I'm from New York. I go, New York. Oh, I love New York. Oh man, come on in, come on in.
Oh,
And
that's
literally just like
perfect.
let me into the studio, and
Wow.
they were doing a record with John Punter, the engineer and producer, who did all the Roxy Music albums. And I sat down there, and they welcomed me with open arms.
That's
And here's
awesome.
you
Wow.
got Dee Murray on bass from Elton John, Nigel Olsson on drums from Elton John, and Brinsley Schwartz and also on drums, and it's just so I'm sitting there just kind of like okay, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
totally. Yeah.
Wow.
my
That's
my first professional environment, and they just had me come in and hang out. And basically, I just said when I was leaving and the session was over, I said, "Hey, can I come back tomorrow?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, sure. Come on back tomorrow. Come on back tomorrow." So, and then it
that's
kind
Unbelievable.
of
so
developed
cool.
into this where, I'm going downstairs for a coffee. Can I get you a coffee? And they go, "Yeah,
Right.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Exactly.
Get me a coffee. Get me a coffee. I'm going
How
down
can I help?
for a pack of smokes. I smoked at
Yeah.
the time. "Yeah, can I get a
Yeah,
pack
yeah,
of
yeah,
smokes? You
yeah.
need a pack of smokes." So just kind of like doing that. And then I had met Joyce, and then Joyce came to me uh, uh, probably after the first week and said, everyone really likes you. Do you want a job? I said,
Nice.
shit, do I want a job?
Totally.
Are you
Wow.
kidding
Do
me?
I want a
Yeah.
job?
That's awesome.
Oh my
That's
God.
like
And
such
that's
a
how I got into
incredible
air.
story.
That's how I literally got into air.
Yeah. That is awesome.
That's
Wow.
incredible. I love your attitude, Mark. Like you're
Yeah,
just
really.
like, this is what I'm interested in. I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go and see what's there.
Yeah.
And it's almost like this serendipitous, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In
I
fact,
was
just
telling.
today,
Hmm.
sorry, no, just today, I sent an email to Joyce, who we still stay in touch, because
Oh,
every year they have an air reunion at the old pub around the corner from Air Studios in Oxford Circus, and I'm going to this year's on
Okay.
August 4th. So
you
I'm
Nice.
going to see
have
all
so
these
much
like
fun.
people I haven't seen in like 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's gonna
That's
Oh
it's
my
gonna
awesome.
be great.
God.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
gonna be
Yeah.
great.
Wow. And there'll be like, so what have you been up to? Well, I
Yeah.
just created this little
Right.
company.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah.
It's funny
That's
because
great.
Nathan kind of came to the studio in the same kind of way, really. I think that you came here for, was it a teacher or someone?
Well, I
Some,
had a colleague who worked here, and then she kind of helped me get in here. But yeah, but that I mean, like hearing stories like that is super inspirational. I'm kind of like,
it really is.
yeah, and to see hear how well it worked out. That's so cool.
You just got to put in the time. It's
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I didn't know where I was going. Remember, this is pre-internet. I didn't know where I
Yeah,
was going. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just literally pounding on doors and just saying, "Hey,
right.
I can get you coffee. I can get you cigarettes. I can sweep the floor. And that's how
Yeah.
you get in. Get
Yeah,
in
Yeah.
as a gopher or an assistant engineer, and that's literally how I got in. Setting up mics, rolling up the mic cables, putting the mics away in a
You
locked
know,
closet, making sure it's
oh,
locked.
yeah. No,
Just
totally.
doing the whole grind.
Yeah,
hmm,
absolutely, absolutely. That's awesome.
yeah. So you were in the room when they recorded "Live and Let Die" with the orchestra.
Yeah, so I was an assistant to Sir George. They would assign me to a lot of the Sir George sessions, and that was with Paul McCartney and Wings.
Wow.
And so we had like this 63-piece orchestra in Studio A, which was this massive uh, studio recording area that was put on springs and bricks elevated because Oxford Circus is a major subway terminal station, so their trains are
Oh.
going up north, south, east, west, and it created this rumble that went all the way to the top floor of Oxford Circus. So
That's so
they had to
cool.
do
That's
what's
so.
called float the floor.
Yeah.
So they
That's
floated the floor, and
wow.
you could literally jump on the floor, and the floor would move.
Wow. That's
And,
yeah.
and
That's super cool.
That's super fun.
How was Paul
yeah,
McCartney as a person?
Paul McCartney's a great man. He was him and Linda. Um, they're just great people. They were great people.
Mm.
In fact, I remember my friend Bob Olson came over from high school, and his plane landed late. He came to the studio, and I met him downstairs because I had to get him in the building. So he took a taxi to the building, and so I got him upstairs, and we're walking down the main hallway. And at Air Studios, a lot of the sessions would go from studio to studio. So on
Okay.
Carly Simon's record that I was working on, Paul was still working on the soundtrack for Live and Let Die, and him and Linda would just kind of stroll down the main hallway, and
Yeah.
so I remember I was with my friend Bob. He's 18, I'm 18. Out the door, walking towards us is Paul and Linda McCartney, and I'm
That's
saying, "Hey,
crazy. Yeah.
Paul, how you doing, buddy? Hey, Paul, I want you to meet my friend. This is Bob. Bob also, Bob, this is Paul and Linda McCartney. They're my friends. Out
My
everything.
God,
Bob like, oh, holy shit, that's Paul McCartney.
Yeah,
I
right.
can't
Yeah. I mean,
believe.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's a
That's
buddy,
so
man. He's a buddy now.
yeah. That's so cool. Yeah,
It's so nice
Yeah.
absolutely.
when
In
people are
fact, on
humble and
several of the credits on Carly's record, they give credit to Paul and Linda just
wow.
as backing vocalist.
Okay.
And due to the contractual stuff, they couldn't say Paul and Linda McCartney and
Wow.
stuff. But yeah, they would credit him just as Paul and Linda because they would just like stroll back and forth from Studio A to Studio B, Studio B to Studio A, and they get bored and they walk out. They disappear for an hour. Sure enough, they're in Studio A doing vocals on
Yeah.
someone else's record. You know,
That's awesome.
so
That's
It's
like
it's
so
that's
exciting
the
cool.
because
that's the
it's like
environment. Yeah, that's the
yes.
environment that I was trained in.
Yeah.
Uh, this respect amongst other musicians. That
Mhm. Mhm.
is really misaligned today. You really don't see it at all.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
I know I was listening to I think it's Ride Like the Wind by Christopher Cross and I'm pretty sure that's Michael McDonald at the very end. It's like a long
Hmm.
way to go.
Yeah,
Sounds a lot like Michael McDonald. So I love when
it probably is.
like
Probably is.
new artists cuz Chris was new at that time, right? Christopher Cross.
Right.
It's just it's just nice when someone seasoned helps because it's
Absolutely.
support, right?
Yeah.
Right. Right. Agreed. Agreed.
How did AMG get started?
AMG got started. I came to Canada. My attorney, a gentleman by the name of Paul Schindler, at the time, still my lawyer to this day, um, uh, had hooked me up with all his international clients. So I would go to Australia to work with Michael Gudinski at Mushroom Records. Um, and I'd go there for 3, 4 months, make records for Michael, and bring him back and help get deals for in America. And then I'd go to England. I'd work in England with Paul's clients. And I'd go to Germany, work with German clients. And Paul had a client here in Canada, um, of a rock band, a management company that represented a band called Platinum Blonde. And the Platinum Blonde was kind of like the Bon Jovi of Canada, you know
Okay. Yeah.
and big, flashy rock band and stuff like that. So I did a record. Uh, Paul introduced me to the management company, and Tony Sabdaris was the assistant man, was a co-manager, and he introduced me to the band, and I wound up making a record with Kenny McLean, who was the bass player for Platinum Blonde and one of the main writers, and it won a Juno Award. And
Wow.
he's a
Nice.
very respected musician. He's since passed away, but that kind of got me into Canada. And people were saying, "Oh,
Mhm.
who did that record? Who did that record?" And then I
Yeah.
did another record, and then for me it was great because just flying to Toronto was 90 minutes from New York, as opposed to 19 hours
Right.
flying to Melbourne, Australia. So it was like really easy, and um, and I set up a business here. So I was producing records. The government loved it because I was
Awesome.
exporting Canadian content,
That's
Right.
true.
which they
Uh-huh.
you know
That's true.
huge interest by the government in exporting, Celine Dion and Drake and
Oh,
Justin Bieber and
Yeah.
Shania Twain, because the tax revenue that it brings back is
Right.
astronomical. I mean,
wow.
not many people know this, but Celine Dion's very first French language record
Mhm.
was produced by a $6,000 Canadian government grant by Quebec.
Oh
Really?
So
wow.
Was it
they gave her,
incognito
no, no, this is like her first
before
French
that?
language
Okay.
record.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. And she did a record, and you know, uh, she sold a half a billion CDs. That's at her royalty rate. That's $1 billion in revenue,
Oh
Yeah.
my
right?
god.
So if she's getting $2 a record, let's say, well, I would think she was getting more. Let's say it's $2 a record. That's $1 billion in revenue that came back to the government,
Uh-huh.
right? Came back to Canada, which they tax,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And all on a $6,000 Canadian
Yeah.
grant, which is about 4,000 US dollars.
That's
So
That's
for
incredible. Yeah.
spending
crazy.
4,000 US dollars,
Unbelievable.
billions of dollars comes back into the country. You got to
Yeah.
remember touring, merchandise,
Right.
concerts,
Wow.
her publishing, record sales. It's just
It's
astronomical. And the
incredible.
same goes for Drake and Justin Bieber, and
Yeah.
all these records were financed. Their initial recordings were helped and assisted through financing by the Canadian government.
That's wonderful.
Okay. That's super interesting.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's great. So I said, "You'll pay for what?" You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
right? And you'll fly me to France to the music conference to help license it overseas, right?
Wow.
Because if you take that record you produced and you spend the money in Canada, right, in a
Yeah.
Canadian facility,
Right.
that's how the industry keeps going. And then they said, "Oh, Mark, you'll take that under your arm and you'll go to a music conference in New York and you'll go to a conference in France and a conference in Japan and you'll
Wow.
license that recording
Yeah.
out to international territories."
Wow.
They love it. They love it. You got to remember, Canada's a massive country. It's twice the landmass of America,
Yeah.
but there's only 35 million people here, as opposed to 350 million people in the
Right.
States. So
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
they're all the majority of the population is on the Canadian border,
Yeah.
Canadian-US border. So you
That's
can
true.
imagine if they didn't have these programs in place that promoted Canadian content, and all these American airwaves are coming over the border, and all they're
Right.
getting are American films and American television
Yeah.
and
Right.
American music.
That's true.
It would obliterate the culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
like
it's kind of like
CanCon.
what happened. Yeah, Kangon, exactly. And it's what happened in Quebec. Quebec said, no, 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 no. We're going to speak French. You want us
Yeah.
you want us to be,
Right.
when they want, in the mid 90s, they wanted to secede from France, from Canada. They
Right.
wanted to be their own country. And the only way they kept them in the Union of Canada was to agree to, like, okay, we're not going to mess with the French culture in Quebec. You can speak French. Your radio's in French. Your books in French. Everything's in
Yeah.
French, and
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
how they did it. And
That makes
and
a
they
lot of
have a
sense.
huge program as well that supports French language artists, right?
Right. Like they truly
Recording
have
French songs.
culture. Don't you find that? Like you go to Montreal
Absolutely,
and it's a
absolutely.
different feeling than Toronto. I love Toronto. I've grown up in Toronto, but I was born in
Yep,
Montreal. And so my
yep.
parents left and went to Toronto because they didn't want to learn French, literally.
Right, right,
So
right.
it's like that's great that they have such a great culture, but I think that you were super smart to build an empire in Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I found my footing here, and then I met a bunch of people from a film company called Alliance Atlantis, and I started taking the records that I was producing, and I did a publishing deal with their publishing division,
Hmm.
and um, and I started putting music in Alliance Atlantis, music that I was producing by these independent acts, and
Right.
putting them into Alliance Atlantis television and film programming.
I read that.
Um,
Yeah, on your website.
yeah,
Yeah.
so they loved it, right? Here, yeah, you made a song, you made an album for 10 grand, and the first song you put in a movie, they pay you 20 grand, you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
just one
Incredible.
song in one movie. That's not including any royalty revenue or any licensing revenue,
Yes. Yeah.
just an advance for the master and the copyright, the
Oh
fee.
my goodness.
Yeah. That's so cool.
So
That's really
and
Do you,
that's how the company basically got started.
yeah.
so people
Nice.
can submit a film or like music to you for on the website?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So
Amazing.
we have a film division of the company now, from all the film stuff that we've been doing.
Yeah.
So we've actually gotten involved in executive producing films, and of course, anything we get involved with on an executive producer capacity, we immediately grab the music rights as well, so that
Hmm.
we're in control of what's going into the film musically. Of
Right.
course, depending on what the director's specifically looking for. It could be by mood, topic, genre, gender, lyrics for a specific scene. So, but we have a massive catalog, BMG Music bought 50% of
That's
two of our music publishing
crazy.
companies.
That's
So
crazy. BMG,
that
they're like
uh,
biggest in the world. Like
yeah,
that's just
they're a mega company in the music world. They own RCA Records, they own Arista, all the major players.
Yeah.
So they gave us a great break, and also gives us access to, 68 million copyrights worldwide on the BMG side if we're doing a film.
Right. Yeah.
wow.
Um,
Wow.
So you
It's like
have a lot of
anything.
choice.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and so when you
a lot of
did
choice.
So cool.
like Drake's Homecoming, so that was his music that, because he would have the
Yeah.
rights, or would he work with
The
you?
the guys that did the movie
Mm-hmm.
were his schoolmates, and they did a movie with Drake on his mixtape had just dropped, and he was really hot on the street, and he was looking to leave Degrassi, and he came back to Toronto,
Wow.
and he did this show at the Sound Academy, which is a great venue down by the waterfront here in Toronto, and his friends, his high school friends, recorded it and filmed it, and they brought it. They tried to shop it around, but no one would touch it for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then they walked in my office, and I said, "Yeah, I'll help put it out." And
Nice.
we did a deal to get the movie up and running,
Mm-hmm.
and to get it out through the at the time AMC had a specialty division called Spectacast, and they kind of do that Sunday to Thursday time period.
Okay.
No bums in the seats, no, $8 bag, $10 bags of popcorn being sold, you know.
Right.
So I got in touch with Spectacast, and they gave me 2 nights worldwide. We did over 1,400 theaters worldwide, and uh, and it was a moneymaker for AMG,
Nice.
you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Totally.
That
then
kind of
when it
reach
was
is crazy.
yeah. So we did that, and then we Paul Schindler represented a great rap impresario named James Prince,
Wow.
whose son Jazz Prince discovered Drake.
Okay.
So I didn't know Jazz, but Paul Schindler, my lawyer, knew Jazz. So I'm talking to Paul, and Paul says, hold on," and literally 90 seconds later, I'm talking to James Prince, and in 10 minutes, we had a deal for the broadcast and DVD rights for the film as well. So that kind
Nice.
of got us into the movie business.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I was
Um,
really wondering
and
about
but
that.
yeah, and we continued to do music for film, major motion pictures, and
Right.
then we actually got into executive production of films over the last several years.
That is awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm. Yeah. I'm trying to
a lot
formulate a
of stress,
question.
but I love it. A lot of stress, but I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So last week, Nathan invited us at the studio to go to a private screening of his film. It's a 20-minute film, and I think you should submit it to Mark's website
Well,
because
yeah. I mean, I mean, it's a short, so we're working
Yeah,
on it. But yeah, I specifically at some point wanted to ask some questions about like film festivals and festival strategies because
sure,
I know
sure.
you're one of the judges for cons, right?
In Cannes for the short film, short film category at Cannes, I'm a judge. I've been a judge for several years. I haven't done it in the past couple of years, only just because I've
Mhm.
been
Okay.
busy with our own films.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Fashion and Film Awards
Okay.
as well. And
Wow.
then I've done the La Jolla Fashion and Film Conference, which is a great short film festival that you should look
Wow.
into.
I'm sorry. Could you
Um,
repeat that?
So
Which?
La Jolla is
La
LAJOLLA,
Jolla Fashion and Film
California.
Okay.
Conference, and then the Cannes World Film Festival is the one that's held in Cannes.
Yeah, that is just so amazing. I mean, seriously
Yeah,
amazing.
I
Is
love
there
it. I love
one?
it. Yeah, it gives me a lot of, I meet a lot. I go to the actual events, and we meet a lot of people and a
Yeah.
lot of other filmmakers, and people are looking to get movies financed, and we can help them on that level as
Yeah.
well with financing, and of course we can help them with music,
Hmm.
through our huge database of songs.
Yeah. Totally. That's so cool. How did you get looped into judging for cons?
Is it connections? Because
I
that's very prestigious. Like, you
Yeah,
must know people.
my good friend Jenny Leung, out of she works in Dubai. She was a former Wall Street investor, and she contacted me and said, "Oh, my friend, Andres Aquino owns this film festival, and it's held in conjunction with Cannes, and they hold it during the Cannes Film Festival." And I thought, yeah, okay, that's cool. I used to go to Cannes every year because of the music conference. The MIDEM, MIDEM, was a big music conference
Madame.
through the 80s and early 90s. And then as the internet took hold, it kind of dwindled. I think at the height of it, there was like 33 million attendees. Sorry,
Yeah.
33,000
Right.
attendees
Wow.
at the MIDEM conference. And now,
Madame.
you know, and then with the internet, just kind of dwindled down to less than 3,000. So because everything's done over the internet now, film
Yeah.
wise,
Yeah.
Wow.
so and that's how I kind of got into it. Jenny put me in touch with Andres Aquino, and I uh, got involved with that, and he started sending me films to judge, and I thought, wow, some of these are really cool,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Totally.
and then I started going to the event, the one they hold in Cannes, and going to the award shows, and just meeting a lot of people. For me,
Yeah.
That's
it's just
So.
amazing.
about networking. I mean, you never know,
True.
like that because we're executive producing films where we can come across a short film and we say, "Wow, whoever directed this is a genius," right? To put all this into like 12 minutes of film,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
then we can recommend them for the films that we're executive producing
Wow.
as well. So yeah, I really enjoy doing because I see a lot of talent, even in acting.
That's
Male,
true.
female
Totally.
actors
Absolutely.
that hold it together, and lighting directors and sound, and it's amazing what people can do with $1,000 on a short film.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust me, I know, and that's what I've been trying. Yeah. I've been
You
grinding
know
my
the
ass.
drill, Nathan, eh?
Yeah. 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 That's what I've been trying to do my whole entire adult life so far. So, yeah,
The
absolutely.
interesting thing too is that Nathan's film has like a boy band, and they have a cool song. And so I was saying to Nathan, like, you should definitely put it out, like, do something, because
Yeah,
that's
send it
it's
over to
great.
me. Send it over to me.
Oh,
Thank
I will
you.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Ah,
just to get your opinions, if you would change anything or just
yeah.
general
Sure,
thoughts on it, would be an absolute privilege.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God, what an
sure,
honor.
sure,
That's
sure.
so kind of you, Mark. Truly, that's
Yeah,
so
and
kind
Yeah,
of you.
I'm
absolutely,
I'm kind of
absolutely.
stuck on where to submit it in terms of like festival strategy and everything. So, if you had any insight on that, that would be absolutely invaluable because I don't have like
Sure,
I don't
sure.
have much connections in terms of that.
No, I got tons of connections in the short film festival
That is
because people
so
saw me go to
exciting.
Cannes, and then all these other festivals kind of jumped on me too, and I just
Yeah.
had to kind of be
Yeah.
careful what festival I was doing because they do take up a lot of time, especially if
Yeah.
they
So
get
what's it
thousands of
like?
submissions.
Like,
Uh
so
huh.
for
Yeah.
judging, like, you're watching all the films at in that period of time, and then
Yeah, so they have something called Film Freeway, and
Yeah.
the filmmakers put their films into Film Freeway. We get a code, we go in and we watch the short movie, and we
wow.
judge it, by direction, the acting, the backgrounds, the set decoration, the complete works. What do you think on 1 to 10, a 5, 10, 8, 9, 7,
Yeah.
across all the categories, and then you add it up at the end, you go click, and bang, it's done, and you move on to the next film.
It's
It's so
incredible.
interesting. Yeah, because I've
It's so,
been on the other side of that for so long. It's so interesting to hear
so
like that.
cool.
It's still through Film Freeway and not a third party
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah. No, no,
Yeah.
they all use Film Freeway. It's a great service,
Yeah.
and it's fast and very efficient and easy to use. If people were going to send me movies one at a time to download and watch, I put a bullet in my head
Well, right.
because
Yeah. It's
it's
not
just
possible.
it's just
Yeah.
I don't have the time for that. Trust me.
No.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
every night before I go to bed, I'd watch 3 or 4 short films,
Yeah.
and before you know it, over the course of 2 months, you've watched 400 films.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. That's
So,
so cool.
what are you interested in developing in a sense next, like for the next year or something like that? Is there something that you'd like to bring about?
Well, we're very proactive in the film area.
Mm,
We have some great projects that we've already latched onto in terms of completed films.
mm, awesome.
We just 2 weeks ago we had The Bloodline Killer came out
It's a
through
Okay.
series, I
Vertical
think.
Entertainment, and that's with Bruce Dern, Academy
Okay.
Award nominee 2 times,
Wow.
and Tyrese Gibson from
Oh my
Fast and the
goodness.
Furious.
Yeah,
So we're
I'm gonna
getting
check that out.
really good actors. And then we just picked up a film that we helped finance called Sweat It Out. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a documentary on the Australian pub rock scene of the 60s and 70s, like really early AC/DC, Jimmy Barnes, In Excess. And it's an absolutely fascinating documentary and
That's
interviews with these
amazing.
great musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So we got involved in that,
That's incredible.
and now we're executive producing a film on the fighter Joe Frazier called
Wow.
Smoke
Okay.
and Joe. So we have a great list of characters in actors and actresses that we're going after.
Mm-hmm.
We have interest from Antoine Fuqua as a
Mm-hmm.
director who did Southpaw, who did all the Equalizer movies with
Wow.
Denzel. Just a brilliant director.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and if we can get, if we can get his commitment, right now he's doing the Michael Jackson movie, but if we can get his commitment onto that, then we're in great hands. And this is a film that we control. We have the rights, the family rights to do the
Excellent.
film, and yeah, and we're
That
executive
means a lot,
producers on.
doesn't it?
It,
It's
it
like you
really
have
does
their
because
blessing,
it's our, yeah,
you know.
absolutely, and it's our baby. We're like we're the
Yeah.
ones out
Wow.
pounding on doors, you know, getting the active people involved. So right now we're raising funds to help grab that 10% of the budget where we can go back and say, okay, Antoine, here's a down payment.
Right.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
see.
Because we
Here
want
Denzel,
you.
here's the down payment.
Yeah.
And we get them to commit to it, and then we take that package with all these actors that have committed to it and a great director, and we go to a Lionsgate or a Paramount or an Apple
My
Okay.
God.
TV any one of the major cable, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Roku, Vudu, whoever will kick in that budget based on all the legwork that we've done.
Right.
We have a
Yeah.
script that's written by Douglas Day Stewart, who's been nominated, Grammy nominated, Emmy nominated, Oscar nominated
Good Lord.
filmmaker. Yeah,
Look at the
he
level,
wrote
like, of
he
everyone.
wrote Officer and a Gentleman for
Wow.
Richard Gere, of which Lou
Oh.
Gossett won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor.
Yes.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I mean, we got a great script, a great bunch of producers, in our camp that are helping us put it together. And we're just kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, we don't want to be producers, we don't want the day-to-day responsibility. We just want to go out, grab the properties, pound on doors, get
Yeah.
the funding, and get it into production. Leave it in the hands of the professionals,
Right.
and then we move on to the next picture.
That's
You prefer
amazing.
projects that are kind of have the ball rolling at least somewhat already.
Yeah, yeah. If somebody comes to us and says they have a great idea for a script and da da da, great. Write the script and let
Exactly.
me read it. You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
don't tell me about it. Just write it, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
and tell me who you have in mind for it. So I can get some sort of a sense. What films are you trying to imitate or model it after? You
Yeah.
Yeah,
know,
Yeah. Totally.
so
that
I
makes
so I can
sense.
get a handle on what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, is there still quite a bit of production going on in Toronto? Like, has the Canadian government kind of like supported production? In
Absolutely,
very. I'm glad to
absolutely. I
hear
mean,
that. I'm glad to hear that.
our commitment is to, if we can, is to do the Joe Frazier film in Toronto because
Excellent.
we have uh, a great tax credit system here in Toronto, Ontario. I believe it's at 36 or 38% tax credits, even higher out in the prairie. Winnipeg, Manitoba, those they have great tax incentives, and we have a great exchange rate. It's $1.38 today. So if
Yeah.
we move a $10 million U.S. budget into Canada, we get an extra $3.8 million worth of spending power
Yeah.
just by moving the 10 million into Canada,
Right.
and then we can hire Canadian crews and
Yeah.
Canadian actors and Canadian
That's
facilities,
awesome.
and
That's
that's
awesome.
that's the goal. I mean, I'd love to do everything here.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just can't, right?
Right.
That is amazing. Yeah. I'm
It's nice to
so,
know about this side,
it
isn't
is.
it?
It's
Like
super
it's so
interesting.
interesting, and
Absolutely.
he's so kind to tell us the details of things, and
Sure,
the
sure.
progression of his thinking and of the projects, because now it's a different level. Like now you're like at the level of a star director and stars. Like you
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this level, you deserve this. You deserve all of it.
Well, I have no problems or qualms pounding on anyone's door,
Yeah.
uh, going after somebody. None whatsoever. So if somebody says go to Antoine Fuqua, guess what I did?
Yeah.
Hey, Antoine, I got a project for you.
It's so awesome.
I think it
Yeah.
might be good, and that's how I get stuff done. I just pick up the phone and I tell people who I am, and hopefully they'll be impressed by my track record, and
Yeah. I mean,
they'll let me through the door.
yeah. Yeah.
But it
Totally.
works, and I've got great people around me. I've got Dwayne Farley here in the office, executive vice president, works on a lot of the financing structures for a lot of the films. I've got Paul Schindler, who's our lawyer. He's been my lawyer for
Wow.
nearly 40 years. He was my very first entertainment lawyer in the business, and he's watched over us over the years, and
Mhm. Mhm.
turned me on to many of his clients, and kind of got my production career started after I left
Yeah.
Vanguard Records,
Mhm.
where I worked for like almost 12 years. Uh,
Incredible.
yeah. So he's a great asset. He's a great guy. Really believes in what we're doing,
Yeah.
And he's
and
taking
helps us
care of
any
you
way he
because you
can.
have to know like the law. You have to know
Yeah.
he probably has to look up different countries' law and like it's not an easy job.
Oh no, it's not an easy job. It's not an easy
Yeah.
job. You
It's
know?
a
Especially
lot
in
to know.
distribution, right? 'Cause that's a lot of,
Mhm.
yeah, it gets real complicated really fast.
So,
Absolutely,
do
especially
you
with
think that
the
there's
advent of streaming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The
mhm.
cable networks, doing a territorial deal. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, Netflix can only have USA and Canada, but the rest of the world we gave to Amazon. Stuff
Ah,
like that.
Wow.
okay. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Do you think that there's more I guess potential to make shows because of like Netflix and Roku like and Apple like is there more opportunity for
Absolutely,
creators?
they yeah, they need the content. You know, you got
Okay.
to remember, Netflix. I think they're up to almost 400 million subscribers worldwide. So all paying what, 18.99 a month?
I know,
Yeah.
I mean,
right?
you do the numbers. I mean, it's astronomical,
That's
Yeah.
and
true.
they all need to retain that 18.99 a month.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so the only way they can do that is by spending it on content, because they
Yeah.
need new eyeballs, uh, uh, to keep the coffers going, right? And the only way they can get new subscriptions coming in is by having that new show,
Right.
Right.
that everyone's talking about, you know.
Exactly. Hopefully with that unique artistic voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, like Baby
And
Reindeer
then,
is a really big one right now for
I need to
Netflix.
watch
yeah,
that.
We
yeah,
all have
Yeah.
to
yeah,
watch this,
yeah.
right? Because it just looks
I've
fascinating.
heard so much already. Yeah.
Me too. And
And
it's
what
only
about
like
the one?
7 shows.
What was the Korean one they had? Uh,
A
uh,
Parasite?
Parasite
Not
from a couple years ago.
something game, you know,
Oh, Squid
uh,
Game. Absolutely.
Squid Game. That's it. Yeah,
Yes.
and that was like, here's a first time director.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a great story out. How they got
I
this
love it.
guy and they got him to direct this. He wrote it. He directed it, like 10 episodes, and they paid him 700 grand. This is one of the biggest shows on cable television of all
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
right? And they paid the poor kid 700 grand.
I mean, that
You
sounds
know,
like
He
a
was
lot to
probably
me.
happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
I mean, I know in royalties, it's, yeah, but yeah.
Oh my,
That is
it's
so
yeah, but
inspiring to hear, like, honestly.
it's so cool
but they
the
got
scale of
they got to keep
things.
those numbers down. They keep the numbers low, right? They keep the subscriptions high, and that's how they make money. And they're all building library. That's all they're doing, right?
Uh-huh.
They're when Netflix signs a deal, they own it for life. Okay, it's
Wow.
never coming back to you as a filmmaker,
It's
right?
cool
Yeah.
Because
though
they're
that
building a
like
library that they want to sell, 20 years from now when we're dead and gone,
Yeah.
for 120 billion dollars. You know,
Yeah.
that's what they're building. So,
I
what
see.
and I get
I'm
it, and I
happy for them
understand it.
because
Yeah.
like they're
Yeah,
beginning to win like get nominated for Academy Awards and things like that now or like Emmys and
yeah,
that's really encouraging to
Yeah.
see, right?
They're their own studio. Yeah.
Right.
yeah. But when you explain some of this to filmmakers, young filmmakers come to my office all the time. They say, well, where do you want me to go? They're going to go to Netflix. It's okay, but they're going to own it, right? And you go, no, no, this is my baby. They, no, I get to own it. I said, let me be clear. They're not going to finance $100 million television program
Yeah.
and not own it when it's
Not own it.
done.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
ridiculous to even think that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
And it
incredible.
creates opportunities for music and everything, right? So, here's a great show, The Squid Game, and they had all kinds of music going on in it, um, and a great opportunities for publishing catalogs like AMG's where they can put their assets in these pros. So it's creating more content for more
Right.
people to see and more usages, employing filmmakers, this, that, and everything, and utilizing music. You gotta remember, 10% of a movie's budget is earmarked for music, right? So
Wow.
if they're
Oh, okay.
shooting a $30 million movie, which is an pretty average priced movie these days,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
they're going to spend $3 million on music, and they're
Just
going to get some
licensing.
high-end copy. They're going to get a Beyonce song and a Jay
Right.
Z song and maybe a Rolling Stone song and 25, 250 grand here, 300 grand there,
Yeah.
and then they come to companies like AMJ, where they're spending 50, 60, 70. We've gotten up to $175,000 for a European car ad, on a 1 year term for the master and the copyright, just for
Yeah.
Europe, right? If that director wants that piece of music bad enough,
Mhm.
he'll pay you for it,
Mhm.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
and
if
as
those
a
words,
director, you it has to be that one because of these
oh,
reasons
it's
and
Right. I feel like a lot of
right?
the
always their
time you kind of.
call, always their call. A
That's
great
great
story. I
that
was
it's their
sitting
call.
in Dundas Square, doing a film, music supervising a film, and we are in what's called the temp session, where they go in and they put music temporarily in the specific scene, and they
Okay.
put maybe like 4 or 5 songs, and they go from song to song, and everyone but they rent out the theater, and there's like 12 of us sitting there, and one scene goes by. I said, this sounds great, guys. This sounds great. Sure enough, the director jumps up and goes, what is this shit? What is this? This is terrible. And we're all looking at each other like, what is he talking about? It sounds great. But my point is, in his mind, that music clashed. And he said that specifically. Don't you see the clash? He says. And I'm
Mm.
thinking, what the hell are you talking about? But in his mind, he saw a clash between the music and his visuals.
Mm.
Didn't
Right.
work out. Back to the drawing board. Let's find some more music.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah.
But
Like it's.
always
I
their
know.
call. Always their call.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. It seems like that's kind of not super common. A lot of the time, the director has to compromise with the people above them. So
Well,
it probably
sometimes it's a
varied.
financial issue, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at it this way. You want an AC/DC song in a movie? No problem. They will gladly license you that AC/DC master and copy. Problem is, it's a half a million US for the master and the copyright. Of any AC/DC song you see in a movie, they have spent a minimum of 500,000 US dollars.
Wow.
And the reason is because they own every master and copyright from
Okay.
record one. Angus Young and George Young had a brother. Angus and Malcolm Young had a brother called George Young. George Young owned a studio in Sydney, Australia, and he produced the Bee Gees and the Easy Beats. But he had this facility, so he would call up Angus and say, "Okay, we're leaving the studio early tonight. Bring your shitty little rock band in, and they can record. They can
ACDC.
record. They can record till 9 in the morning. Okay." And that's what they did. But my point is that they owned every master. Why? Because they paid for it, and they owned every copyright because they didn't have to do a publishing deal. They did a worldwide administration deal, which just collects money, takes 10%, and gives you
Okay.
the balance.
Okay.
So
It's
when
fascinating.
and then when they went to Atlantic Records for their record deal on Atco, they actually went to Atlantic and said, you know what? Here's our first record. You know, we don't want any money up front because the record's all paid for. We did it on our own in George's studio, Albert's studio, and basically, but we don't want 12 points. We want 18 points,
Wow.
which gave them an elevated royalty rate. So I mean, could you imagine on
Oh, okay.
18 points on "You Shook Me All Night Long"?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Just still playing.
With wait with nothing to recoup, no money to recoup because they didn't give
Right.
them any money.
Yeah.
He said, we don't want any money. We don't want any money. So they're paid from record one internationally.
Yeah.
So
It's like,
interesting.
it's like an
You do the math.
incomprehensible amount.
You do the math.
Yeah.
Because they still play it on the radio. They still play, like you still hear it in movies. Like I can't
Absolutely.
500,000 just to
Yeah.
play that one song.
That's
Just to put
Unbelievable.
any portion of the song in a film. That's why you rarely see them on television programs, but on a film that has an adequate budget. I mean,
yeah.
you know, you can't
know,
put many $500,000 songs out of a music budget into a film.
Yeah.
Do you know when Miami Vice was big back in the day? I used to look forward to every show they'd premiere a song. And so
I
they
remember.
built this whole atmosphere around the song. And I think the most powerful episode was when they premiered In the Air Tonight. Nobody had ever heard it. And it was just them driving at night with like the convertible, and it was just cool.
Yeah.
And it was the whole atmosphere. It's amazing how
Yeah.
powerful music is. And I just love what you've done with
Absolutely.
unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
It's hard to make
Seriously,
a
it's
movie without
amazing.
music. I mean, it's
Yes.
really
Yeah.
difficult. I
It's
mean,
intense.
whether it's score or whether it's so there's two types of placements that we do. One is called scoring, which is strings and violins or
Yeah.
just piano and stuff. And then there's source music where like I said, mood, topic, genre, gender, lyrics that
Yeah.
talk to a specific scene
okay.
that we supply as well. We don't do much scoring because they generally have people that they work with that do scoring, like a Hans Zimmer or somebody,
Yeah.
Right.
something like
Composers and that kind of thing.
Yeah. They're
Exactly,
completely
exactly.
intertwined. You can't have a good movie without music.
that. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
interesting to hear that side of that side of the
It
industry.
really is. This has just been such an education in how things work. Like it's
Yeah.
just
AMG 101.
Right. I mean, this is so
it's
cool.
true.
I have to ask, like, so you say you work with like young directors, I
Okay, so I'm gonna send him.
are
We'll
we
just
back?
stay
I'm here.
on.
I'm
There
here.
you are.
I'm back.
Perfect.
I'm back.
Thanks for being
I'm
patient.
here.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
froze on us.
I lost you. I lost you for a second.
Perfect. Thanks for hanging out. That's great.
But I don't see you, Susan, and I don't see you, Nathan.
Oh, okay.
Okay, one sec.
we see you,
Trying to
thank God.
troubleshoot this.
Yeah, wow, Mark. My God. Yeah, honestly, if you want a road trip, please come see us. Oh my God. I'll take you to like games and things. Oh my God. Just that would be so much
Well,
fun.
next time you're in Toronto, you got to come by the office.
I'd love to. I'd love to. And you're there like Monday to Friday. I mean, I would make an appointment
Monday to
to
Friday?
see
Yeah.
you. Um,
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
so
do
interesting.
you see like the top of our studio right now?
No, I don't see it. In fact,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
oh yeah, I see the
'cause-
studio. I see Studio Pro, but it's me.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and we can
And I
just
don't
go
see Sue.
solo to
Sue's,
him. We could just we
This
can
is, this
switch.
is really weird.
We can switch to just Mark, and then we can like that's fine.
Okay,
If
that's
his
okay.
if his is working, why don't we just switch to Mark, and
Yeah.
then
Do
we
you
have
see
a
me?
couple of minutes.
Yeah, we still see you.
Yes, we do perfectly. Because we have
Okay,
like 10 minutes
now I
left, so we
lost
can
you.
just
Oh,
have it on.
there you are. You're back now. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to. Yeah, it looks. I mean, something happened here. All our cameras reset too. That was really weird.
Yeah, that's okay though. At least we still see you, so that's perfect.
Yeah, we still got audio. Sure.
So Yeah, you could just, you're asking great questions. You can,
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask a question about you say you work with like some young directors, and I know everybody's story is different. But
Sure.
like their paths to getting to the point of like being able to finance a feature, their first feature, or something like that. Like, are there any through lines or any advice you'd give to somebody who I guess wants to get to that level?
Everyone comes to us with different scenarios in terms of financing, and our scenario on the executive producer side of things is that if there's a way that we can finance the tax credits, and
mm-hmm.
that we can
Okay.
finance the MGs as well. So if you have like a name actor or someone, and someone
Yeah.
gives you a minimum guarantee, and let's say it's $500,000, and we can, maybe give $400,000 towards the project, and then our investor makes $100,000 on it. And the same with the tax credits. The tax credits are, as good as gold. You can go to any bank, and they're backed by the Canadian government, and you can just go into any bank and say, hey, I got $1 million in tax credits, and then say, here, give me 900 grand, because I need 900 grand to put that into my production, right? And
Yeah.
then when
Okay.
the tax credit comes back, 1 million will come back, and they keep 100 grand uh, as for loaning the money out. So it's like literally the safest
Worth it.
investment, because it's all guaranteed by the federal government. So
Yeah.
the
Right.
tax
Okay.
credits are a great way to get something done,
Yeah.
along with a minimum guarantee on MGs. But MGs are really dependent on, uh, you know, can we get bums in the seats in the theaters or
Uh huh.
not? Do we have do we have a big enough name to do that?
Yeah.
Right.
Or is this something that just goes straight to cable? You know,
Right.
Oh, that's
uh,
true.
there's there's that option as well, where they would pay you an advance, or guarantee you in advance based on your confirmations of actors and actresses.
Yeah. Okay. So it's mostly about packaging that film once you have the
Packaging.
That's a
right.
good
Yep.
way, yeah,
Uh
good way of
huh.
putting it.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's kind of the answer I was expecting. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because I
it's
mean,
it's cool though
the
because things
higher
are
level of
possible.
actors and
Mm-hmm.
directors you have, the easier it is to get that MG. And the tax credits, of course, are applied when you're coming to Canada to make a movie, whatever. How much tax credits are you getting, are being applied towards the production? And
Right.
bang, those are as good as gold. Go to any bank and cash them in and put that money into the production. So that's what our investor does on Wall Street. So, and we're in a wheelhouse where someone has a movie, $2.5 million movie. They've already raised $2.5 million. There's a $3 million movie. They've raised 2.5 million. They need
Mm-hmm.
500 grand to top it off.
Mm-hmm.
So we say, okay, what are the tax credits? Do we have an MG on board? And then we get our investor on board to bankroll
Okay.
those items.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then we usually write ourselves in on the music side of things as well. So
Okay.
we pay ourselves as music supervisors on the film,
Right.
um, and and then we take a small percentage of the funds raised as well towards the production.
Okay.
Because you guys are making everything happen. Like
Right.
if
It's in
they
the
want a
background.
certain song, then um, you can make
Yeah,
that
I mean,
happen, right? Like that
we can
that's in
make
your
it happen.
catalog, right?
But if it's in the catalog, we can definitely make it happen. And obviously, if I'm going outside of the catalog, going to a major publisher or a major artist, then then I have to deal with, you know,
Yeah.
uh, when you put something in a movie. Here's a quick lesson on music and film. If you put something in a movie, you have to concern yourselves with the master, and you have to concern yourself with the copyright, which may not be owned by the same people,
That's
right?
true.
So when you're dealing with independent bands, yeah, they own the master because they paid for it, and they own the copyright, yes, because they wrote it. But if Dolly Parton, for example, sings a Willie Nelson song, right? I've got to go to RCA Records and clear the master. Why? Because they paid for it and they own it,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And then I don't even got to go to Dolly. I've got to go to Willie Nelson, because he wrote the copyright. And under
I
federal
see.
copyright law, anytime you put audio against a visual format, you need the permission of the writers,
Wow.
right?
The writer.
So Willie says, okay, yeah, I agree to putting it in the movie. So, and then we have something called MFN, Most Favored Nations, which is kind of a nasty clause in the business we're in, because what you pay the master owner, you must pay the copyright holder, and
No
vice versa.
way.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Because you used to be there, okay, well, I got the master and I only paid $5,000 for it, right? Okay, but Willie wants $50,000 for the copyright. Okay, great, let's do it because we saved $45,000, $40,000 on the master, right? But
Hmm.
now they're saying, they have MFN, which dictate what you pay the master owner, you must pay the copyright
You have
holder.
to also pay. So yeah, wow. I think I would just choose something from your catalog because there's so much in your catalog. I think we'd be
Exactly,
fine.
and we do what's called one-stop clearance. So I can clear the master and copyright in 10 seconds. You
No
know,
way. Yeah, see, that's so
but
attractive to work with you. It's just so attractive.
Well,
It
yeah,
doesn't
right.
make sense.
Yeah.
yeah,
Totally.
That's
and we're out
amazing.
there
I know,
creating
because I mean, we could
value.
literally,
Yeah, we're creating value for their masters and copyrights that otherwise, I mean, they have no access to, putting something in a movie or a TV show,
that's true.
or a video game or an advertisement or a movie trailer. They all pay for usages of the masters and the copyrights.
It's incredible. So you have to know somebody, like, there has to be someone who has access, right? Who has the legal rights, all of it.
Right.
And so you've created all of that in kind of a one stop shop that
Yeah.
they come to you and you
Absolutely.
take care of all of those things
No,
that they have
right.
no
I
access
haven't
to.
heard of another company that
Right.
really does that.
It's just so brilliant,
Well, I mean,
really.
there's
Makes you
companies around, but the biggest issue today is the urban music. Because the urban has so many different writers, and they've got the samples in them, and they didn't clear the samples,
That's
and then
true.
you put a song in a movie, and then someone's sitting in a movie theater and say, "Wait a minute, isn't that Marvin Gaye's sample? Isn't that off the Marvin Gaye record?"
Right.
Oh, you didn't go to Motown and clear the master, and you didn't go to Marvin Gaye's estate, and you didn't clear the copyright just for using that little 10-second snippet, right? I mean, it's a major lawsuit, literally a major
Yeah.
lawsuit.
Yeah.
And you can see why the writer, is like, "Yeah, that's my work, right?"
Oh, I could, imagine sitting in a movie theater and all of a sudden your song comes on and no one
No,
told you about it,
Yeah.
but they put it in the movie
unbelievable.
for $100,000,
Right. Yeah.
you know, and it's your
So
copyright,
interesting.
or it's your master that you produced, 40 years ago in someone's basement.
Yeah, like, how dare they, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
We are kind of at the end of our time here. So,
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. I just want to thank you with all
wow,
my heart, my God. Thank you for letting
absolutely.
Nathan and I ask you questions.
yeah, really,
And
I mean, this was so cool. It was amazing to talk.
That went so fast.
unbelievable.
Get this insight.
Yeah, and
I
it,
know, yeah, and we can absolutely hang around after the
yeah, we
episode's
can.
done,
Yeah, we
but
don't have to say goodbye,
Really
but
fast.
like, I'm so glad that we did. And if there's anything at all that you'd like to launch, if you'd like us to shoot anything, we can come up with something, or we can give you a platform. We'd be thrilled
Okay.
to
Okay.
help you in
Sure.
any way, Mark.
Absolutely.
You're so generous
Absolutely.
and so kind,
yeah, totally.
Absolutely. I
honestly.
really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Me too. I'm so glad that
Between the
you
two of
so.
you, I felt very comfortable talking about
I'm so
about the
Yeah,
glad.
business.
We have
I
so
mean,
much like
there's so
respect,
much to
and
learn.
we're just in awe. But like, I love how chill and how, kind you are with telling us stories and telling us how things work, because like Nathan
Yes.
has no way of knowing, how do I get from here to there? No
Yes.
idea, right? And so it means a lot
A
that
lot
he
of
can
artists
ask you
don't know. They
questions,
don't know.
because
They just
everyone,
think that yeah, they just think that it shows up on a Spotify playlist or something, or it just shows up in a movie. It's like, they have no idea what you had to
Yeah.
go through to get it in that movie. You know,
Right.
right?
or how
Absolutely.
many people are competing with you for the same scene of a song in a movie.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's only one song, and you're like, oh, the director's like, I really want that song, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
So,
go
but
through it all
yeah,
the time, all the time.
so I think we'll play our outro, or
Okay. Yeah. So
go into
I'm
the
gonna
outro.
I'm gonna play the
You can
outro, but the Zoom call won't
just
end here.
hang on. Yeah. So thanks so much for everything. Yeah, that's right.